Oh, here we go again.
Here we go again, dude.
Well, why?
Because I fucked up again.
It's all good. Hey, This is another episode of UFO Garage.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joe.
I'm Ben.
And this is where we talk about UFOs, aliens, and all things weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Episode 54.
Dude, I don't give a fuck about your shirt.
I don't care. Oh, wait. We're wearing the same shirt.
Oh, shit, we are wearing the same shirt. You know what? I do care about your shirt.
Thank you. It's from Small Batch Redeemer here in Austin, Texas. It's our newest partner on the podcast.
Yeah, dude. It's good stuff, man. Y'all need to go check out Small Batch Redeemer. We're wearing the shirts right now. If you're just listening, then just listen to my words. But if you're watching this as well, peep the pocket, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, this is pretty sweet, right?
And if you want to link to the website, it's on our website, ufogaragePC.com.
Yeah, man. Go check them out. And when you check out, you can use the code word UFO Garage 15 and get 15% off of your total purchase, man.
Oh, damn. And we just tried what were you calling it? A
CB doobie.
CB doobie.
Yeah,
smells, tastes like weed. I mean, I feel pretty damn good. I feel pretty chill. I'm not high, but you know, it's a calming sensation.
Yes, dude. Yeah. So don't forget to go check them out. They're awesome. They're local here in Austin. But today, guys, we got a special guest. We got a local guy from Texas. It's gonna be our first one, so this is pretty sweet. He's an amazing artist, and he runs a totally awesome podcast called Conspire, a Theory. And his name is Chris. So, Chris, what's up, dude? How you doing?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going really good.
To finally get up and talk with you guys. I remember the first time I heard your show, I was like on Facebook, and people were like talking about different shows and shit, and I saw this one post pop up say, "Hey, we're from Austin," and I'm like, "Ugh, Austin, gross." Because I'm from San Antonio, and we'll explain that. But the thing is, I listened to the show, and I was like, man, I bet these guys are just a bunch of dope-smoking, freedom-hating hippies. And then I listened to the show, and I'm like, well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, definitely. So, we love freedom, dude.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I've been listening to the show, and I absolutely love it, man. It's lots of fun. It's good to have a good, fun show, and I've been doing my show for like about 2 years now, and it's been like a lot of fun as well. So just let me know what you guys got going on.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
man,
your show's awesome. You always have awesome topics, and you do your research, and man, it's great. We like to just be a little goofy, so it's going to be kind of like a good contrast, but. I mean, it's so what's I guess question for you as far as your show, like who has been like your favorite guest that you've had on your show? Any like crazy stories that you've heard or interesting interactions that you had from guests being on your show or topics that you've talked about, anything you've come across that kind of blown your mind?
Well, I've had like so many people that because one of the reasons that I started the show was I was like an avid fan of paranormal podcasts and just podcasts in general.
Yeah.
And I was like, before I'd gone out on my own, I was on a gaming podcast where I just, like it was like game journalists and stuff like that talking about stuff. And I was just the idiot that came in just to do the color commentary so that the other people can sound smart explaining shit to me because I'm the idiot. So what I decided to do, I wanted to go in my own direction and talk about other topics, but they would always tell me, well, this isn't that kind of show. And then one of my friends, he like branched off and did his own podcast, and we would review conventions and stuff like that. And that was tons of fun. And again, I run into that other thing of, like, well, I want to talk about this and this, but like, well, that's not but the kind of show that we do here. So when I started my own show, it's like, okay, now I don't have that excuse anymore.
Yeah, now you're the professional, you're the expert, and other people that don't know about it sound dumb, right? Like,
yeah, but the thing is, I had to pretty much learn to do everything myself. I had to, learn everything myself. I mean, all my friends that did their own podcast, they helped me out. They like sell me their old equipment. They'd recommend services and apps and stuff to me to use. They'd help me learn the programs to make sure that everything sounds good and fun. And in the earlier shows, some of the earlier shows, I just had technical limitations, and as I went on, the shows just kept getting better and better. And of all the guests I've had, like my first year, I was just hitting up all my friends that I made and stuff like that. Just going to paranormal conventions and stuff like that. The main thing that really got me to want to do the show is I would run into local San Antonio cryptozoologist Ken Gerhardt a lot at shows, and me and him would have like the best conversations for like, we go on for like 45 minutes and stuff like that, just talking about all this awesome stuff. And I keep thinking to myself, man, I wish I could take these conversations and put them out there, because I'm talking to interesting people. Yeah, and they're saying the most interesting, coolest stuff. And sometimes when I listen to podcasts and stuff, sometimes there would be one or two questions or an issue that I would like to see pressed on a little bit harder. Ask them about this or that. And and I couldn't just relegate myself to just being in the comment section. I wanted to sort of have my chance at them all. I guess I wanted to just have a say in the conversation as well, and that's kind of why I started the podcast. It's sort of like a way for me to do my own thing and just get my foot in the door as well, and just talk to some of these people.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy because like one of the things that I've found like pretty interesting about doing this is like there's a lot of people that aren't as hard to get to like as you would think they would be. It's kind of different. Like they're almost like excited to talk to you. No matter who you are, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I found that as well. It's like there's a bunch of people that I talk to, and it's like, wow, I'm surprised they even took the time of day, because I would hear them on like nationally syndicated shows.
Yeah, totally.
And then here they are talking to my like little nothing show that's just me and the maybe 2 or 3 wine moms in France that actually listen to it. And Joe.
Yeah.
Joe
oh yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. I listen, man. I like it. You were talking about the cryptozoologist guy. That was a really cool episode. Just getting into Bigfoot and like the just kind of the different histories of it and like the different avenues, like the whole thing's kind of taken just throughout time. That was super awesome, man. Do you have like you said that you've had really interesting conversations with him, just you would see him around all the time. I mean, how what does that guy do exactly? I mean, I know that he studies like cryptozoology type stuff, but does he do the research for like, I don't know, like companies or colleges, or does he write books, or like what is it that he does with the information?
Well, from what I've seen, what he mostly does is like he'll do research and stuff like that, and then people bring him in for like expertise on like cryptozoology stuff. He'll do like a lot of television shows and stuff like that, like Lost in Alaska.
Yeah.
And he's basically one of the talking heads that's brought in as an expert. He's very meticulous about his research, and he scrutinizes stuff quite a bit. That's one of the reasons that I like him. But he also does like the different layers of research out there, as far as it's like it's not just the superficial, it's just swamp gas type of thing that you would expect. He does like, more deeper research, like, well, where did the lore come from? What is the history of the region? What have other people have said?
Right.
That sort of above and beyond stuff. And that's kind of why he's one of my favorite guys. He's a pretty cool guy too. He's just one of those really cool guys out there that you really hardly ever meet, because a lot of times, I guess he's sort of like a bit of a skeptic. I don't want to talk too much for him, but he's like a pretty cool dude. Like he has that critical, that sort of he applies critical thinking, which I definitely admire. But at the same time, he's not going to dismiss the lore and stuff. He's going to like include that stuff in there.
Right.
But he's not going to say, well, this is the answer. He's like, well, this is probably what contributed to the sort of lore of how we came to understanding this phenomena as this type of thing.
Yeah, and that's a cool blend to have, because most people, when you think skeptic, right, you think UFOs, they don't exist. Bigfoot, they don't exist. Those people are skeptics, right? But like in his case, he may be a bit of a skeptic, but his field is cryptozoology. Yeah. Like that's an interesting like blend to have,
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of a thing where, I mean, skeptic has sort of become a bad word in any kind of paranormal community. And in a way, like, I think with the advent of social media, it's sort of every single field and industry and fandom has sort of become a high school playground. And skeptics are the bullies. I mean, they're pretty much the bullies.
Right.
And scientists are the cool kids that everyone wants to be, but they don't want to hang out with anybody because they got the credibility and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I used to call myself a skeptic early on, but now I really don't know that I would anymore. Because one of the things is, when I'm talking to people, I mean, they're telling me some of the craziest, most unbelievable stories, but I want to hear the story. I want to hear the whole account.
Oh, yeah.
And when they're speaking to me, I mean, I'm taking their account seriously. I'm listening them. I'm hearing them out. And for most people, the I guess garden variety skeptic, they immediately, they're not listening to hear the story or to hear the account. They're listening to hear where they can chime in and debunk and shoot something down. So they're not really paying attention as much. And I kind of feel like, well, that's not part of the, that's not part of the process type of thing.
Yeah.
And with like a lot of skeptics and stuff, because now I don't know that I would call myself a skeptic. I mean, I still apply critical thinking.
Yeah.
And, whether or not I believe someone's story or not, that's not going to stop me from hearing them out. If I believe that their experience was the result of something else, I'm still going to hear them out. And because I want to, I feel like whenever I do any of my artwork or I'm talking to someone, I feel like I'm solving a mystery, and I kind of need all those clues.
Yeah, totally.
So that's why I kind of dig that stuff down there. So
yeah,
absolutely, man.
Like every single little detail that they have. I mean, if you remember my 3-part interview with Jack Carroll.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I was doing some digging on stuff like that, because he would say things and I'd say, hey, wait a minute, can you emphasize what happened here, because I kind of want to, because if I feel that there's a loose end or a detail that's nagging me, it's I want to hear it rounded out a bit more, because one of the things I think was some philosopher or something said that the measure of intelligence is being able to entertain an idea without accepting it. I mean, I may not believe that all these people have that what they think happened may have actually happened, but I'm not going to dismiss them, because at the end, the way I see it is their experience, what they're telling me is, that's what they said happened. And I mean, I didn't have the experience, but I do want to kind of figure it out. So I have to sort of hear it through their perspective.
Perspectivalisms.
From their point of view.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to hear. So that's why, I talk to these people, and anybody who comes to my show, I make sure, are you absolutely sure that you want to come on and talk about this? Because I'm going to ask them, I might ask some pressing questions. I try not to play softball with anybody, but it's sort of a very sort of, I just want to dig deeper in the details. I'm not trying to scrutinize them or say, oh, that's not what happened. I want to say, well, can you help me round that out so I can better understand it? Because I want to understand their experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that type of, and I mean, I'm not going to say journalism, but just anybody can ask digging questions, but it's how you do it. And I think a lot of times when you're labeled as a skeptic, or you label yourself as a skeptic, again, like you say, you come off as a bully, and the way that you phrase questions often sounds like an attack, rather than you're honestly just curious about this one detail. What time of year was this? Do you remember if there were clouds in the sky? It's just all in how you phrase the question, and sometimes you can sound or anybody can sound like an asshole. If you say it right, then it comes off
it's genuine. There's a way to be genuine about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, for me, mainstream journalism and all that stuff died the moment that Sam Donaldson interrupted an episode of Friends. That absolutely nothing happened in the OJ trial. Oh. It's we're just interrupting to be the first to tell you that no details have been. At that point, I'm like, okay, journalism is dead. That's when I realized journalism is dead. But the point is, because of that, that doesn't mean that we can't hold ourselves to a higher journalistic standard. There are still tenets of ethical journalistic behavior, and what we're getting now, unfortunately, is just a bunch of clickbait shit.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why podcasts are sort of thriving now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our shows. They're not just, clickbait, let's talk about this, go through all the details, blah, 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 the bullet points, so that people can argue with each other. This is more like, hey, let's take the subject, let's chew on it, let's digest it, let's have a conversation.
That's
not so much, an argument. And I think that's sort of an art that's getting lost, because with social media, it's not about talking to each other. It's all about just, any kind of social media crap is just clickbait kung fu. It's clickbait Google foo that's going on. People are just throwing articles at each other.
That's such a good point, man. I've never thought about that. Like when you focus on the headline and clickbait and don't give a lot of information or don't even really state an opinion in a lot of cases with these, clickbait headlines and stories, articles, it's all just a ploy to create an argument in the community or whatever. On that post, it's a bunch of people. You can take that post so many different ways, negatively or Republican or Democrat. It leaves it so open and vague. Like you're right, it does kind of just they're baiting you to argue with amongst yourselves,
and then it has no information whatsoever. But you come away from it like, well, I hate that guy, and you're like, wait, but there was no information in there at all. Like, what do you mean you hate that guy?
I mean, more social media is training us to sort of like to play gotcha, and to well, this article agrees with me, but the thing is, like, because the general standard of journalism is so low,
right?
It's like, all these journalists, most of them are activists. They don't give a fuck. They just want to win. That's what most arguments online is. People just want to win.
That's it.
They don't want to have a conversation. They don't want to, maybe come up to an uncomfortable conclusion or actually think of something. Or like hear someone else's perspective on stuff like that.
It's almost like they're looking for that dopamine dump to comment in the comment section, like one phrase, like if you're not mad, you're not paying attention. Like that's just this self. It's like
everybody's looking for the mic drop, but everybody keeps repeating the same fucking thing. So how can we all be mic dropping if we're all repeating the same shit? And it's like, I see people I see people say something, like there will be a meme and you'll read it and you'll be like, yeah, that's a pretty good point. And then you'll see somebody type it out on their Facebook and you're like, bitch, you stole that from a meme. You didn't even come up with that. You're just looking for a mic drop that isn't there anymore.
I've seen that.
I love memes and I love humor and shit, but I know the difference between, like what is a joke and what is, a serious attack and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
What's going on is people they're using these sort of like they're sort of like, I guess, weaponizing identity and victimhood to attack people and to use that as a shield to shield themselves from criticism. When it's like, hey, maybe you need to take a harder, closer look at this. And it's like, no, I can't do that because, acknowledging anything is like, it's like submissively subjecting my identity. And I'm sort of like, surrendering, and I'm not going to surrender. I want to win. And I guess that's just sort of it's sort of a sad thing. So whenever I see like people that actually do, somewhat hold a higher level of journalistic integrity, like someone that we both mutually knew, Ryan Sprague. Yeah, I probably mispronounced his name. I'm gonna see how many different times I can mispronounce his name.
We've done the same thing.
Do the same thing.
I think it's Sprague, but like every now and then you'll throw in an A on accident. It's somewhere in there.
I like
Sprague.
Yeah.
Because it's spelled like Prague with an S.
If according to the Google algorithms, myself and Ryan Sprague shouldn't even have a conversation. We should like stab each other in the neck because our political leanings are so extremely different. But what I like that he does is he doesn't let his personal political beliefs influence in what he does as far as the UFO stuff.
Right.
He still holds that sort of high standard, and because of that, I respect him. I definitely highly respect him of that.
Yeah, he's great.
He's awesome.
on his personal Twitter, of course, on his personal stuff, he's still, like, Joe Biden, he's a Bernie bro and all this stuff. And that's cool. I don't have a problem with that, but because the algorithms are so, about whatever it is on the political, especially the politics, we shouldn't even have a conversation, the default is that we should attack each other.
Right.
But because he still holds out that, because he's willing to have a conversation with me about subjects that don't relate to either of our politics, because of that, I'll always have an ounce of respect for him. And the thing is, like, the people in his circle, when I reach out to them, they all have me blocked on their social media and stuff like that. And I'm like,
What?
I haven't even said anything
The hell?
to these guys. And they all got me blocked on stuff, and it's probably because either one, I do post the sort of Trump stuff, but I'm not like that adamant about it. I'm not like totally in love with it.
Yeah.
But it's just food for thought. If someone has a difference of opinion, that's fine. I don't mind people having that opinion. There's been so many times on Facebook where I've had to say to people like, "Hey, I'm not saying you can't hate this person." I'm
totally
saying that to someone. Like, I'm not saying you can't hate this person or not like this person or criticize them. What I'm saying is, it's like, can we think about what's actually going on here? Can we like take a look at some stuff and digest it a little bit?
Right.
I remember when.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I remember when it was. I think it was the lady that's accused of the witch doctor, that sex with demons meme came up. And that came up, and it's like this woman, I think her name is Dr. Emmanuel.
Yep.
Anyways,
she seemed pretty badass. I mean, all that stuff that came out, like, I don't know, it's just beyond the point.
It's like, wait, are you attacking a woman of color that's an immigrant with a differing religious opinion than you? That's not cool, right?
my main issue is that, a lot of paranormal podcasters were attacking her on the grounds of, that she believes that people get ill from having sex with demons. And I'm like, you're going into the forest looking for paranormal Bigfoot. You're doing all this weird shit. This is someone that if they weren't attached to politics, they would be on your show, and it's that sort of, that sort of conflict of interest. It's like, how could you lash out at someone for that when you're doing something, just as equally ridiculous? It's like coffee pot meet tea kettle type of thing.
Exactly, dude.
And that's what gets on the thing. And again, I'm not saying you can't have your own political stance. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, the grounds, there are so many other things that she could be criticized on that have nothing to do with paranormal anything.
Yeah.
That it's like I think it was one of the Republican guys. He wrote Bigfoot erotica. And that was sort of one of the things that they tried to take him down with. And I'm like, it's like, that's got nothing to do with his political stance. It's funny.
Yeah.
I get why it's funny.
I mean, it's fucking hilarious. Funny. Yeah.
I love the jokes and stuff, but that's not a political stance. That's not something for you to. That's not a legitimate criticism.
Yeah.
And when I try to like ask these people about it, of course I get the usual, like, well, here's a clickbait article. This is my argument, or I get called a racist or something, or whatever.
It's a default go-to.
I have a question. I have a question for actually both of you guys. But like, okay, so this might be taking it a different turn, or a different direction. But what do you just think about the idea between UFOs, the alien cryptid topic? It used to be kind of insulated, where it really wasn't politicized. But now, after TTSA and all that comes out, and then the Pentagon has just most recently taken the same videos that were released a while ago, not by TTSA, as we both know, or we all know, but now it's become a politicized subject. The alien thing, the UFO thing, the UAP thing. What do you guys think about that? Like politics encroaching on our beloved subject that. But like before 2017, to me, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but has it ever been this politicized ever? Like, in y'all's opinion, or?
I mean, I don't think it has been. I mean, most of the time they just ignored the subject the whole time.
Yeah.
Now that it's out, it's like it is kind of becoming a little politicized, and you're like, all right, why are we gonna do this? Like, whatever this is, like, and I'm just speculating, right?
Yeah.
I'm just speculating here, but whatever this is probably way beyond the comprehension of like our measly like government. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that I don't feel like you can politicize because we don't really know anything about it.
I feel like our culture's going to find a way to politicize it, though.
Yeah, they're gonna find a way to politicize it and turn it into some religion, and like all kinds of weird shit. You're like, whoa, these are aliens.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about them.
They're not Democratic or Republican. They're not. Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah.
Have you been noticing anything like that?
As far as the recent stuff that's been coming out, all I've seen is just, the headlines of announcements. I haven't been digging that much into it. I mean, my main interest isn't so much the UFOs and the crafts and stuff. It's more the personal experiences.
Yeah.
And the accounts that people have, with entities and stuff like that. That's my bread and butter. But as far as the UFO stuff like that, I'm not quite that deep into it to notice any politics. I do notice that, while we're in the middle of the pandemic, this is when they decide, like, oh, let's drop these details and pretend it's nothing. And in the middle of the pandemic, where it gets lost in the details of everything else. I mean, and it's just one of those things that just happens, like the Beirut bombing. Well, that was getting all the press. What wasn't getting the press was the anti-pedophile march on Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No one was paying attention to that. No one even talks about it. The only way I know about it is because Sam Tripoli talked about it on a show, and I think it's like Dick Masterson's of the Dick Show. He talked about it as well. I believe he did, and it's this thing that all these other people, they're talking about these things that's going on, but we're all like looking over here at the big shiny explosion,
right?
And
literally.
And I'm not saying that I mean, it's terrible what happened up there, but from what sounds like it, I mean, incompetence is sort of the breeding ground for conspiracy, in that. Because there were so many different layers of stuff that went wrong for that to happen.
Yeah.
It's so hard for us to not, say like, well, maybe it was on purpose type of thing, to just speculate on that.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think, when it comes to stuff like that, you're never going to know the truth. I mean, and it's kind of, I mean, do you blame people for speculating sometimes? I mean, with the government track record of like not always being the most honest in the world, it's like you kind of leave yourself open for conspiracy theorists and speculation.
Well, one of the tenets of journalism is you always state your bias or something like that. Is that if you have a bias, so long as you're upfront of it with it, then you can somewhat, still have an objectable stance on something. It's just that with the speculation, that's just our opinions. That's just what we think.
Right.
We're just openly speculating. It's not fact.
Right.
We're all willing to, look at the actual facts and stuff, provided it comes from a credible source.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's another thing that's been muddied up with the fall of journalism, is that none of the sources are credible anymore.
Right.
I mean, we go to mainstream media, and it turns out they've been lying to us for years. I mean, they've been misconstruing stuff like this, and just now, regular people are starting to fight back. Just look at that lawsuit, Sandman, the Covington kid, who he smirked at the Native American.
Oh yeah. Oh, he just destroyed CNN.
Yeah. All the people that were like, oh, don't criticize David Hogg, the 23-year-old looking 16-year-old boy, because he is a child. But oh man, I can't wait to punch that Covington kid.
Yeah.
He's got such a punchable face. It's like, do you see where you're kind of like, you're kind of conflicting your own point there?
Yep.
But it's sort of the thing is that this guy at the time, he was an absolute child. Yeah, he was brought into a political thing. He reacted the best he could, but there was like a huge smear campaign against him. He was doxxed. He had harassment, and all that stuff. And he went he sued the mainstream. I believe it was CNN was sued, and he won. And that's just that should just show that that's just someone who could take a stand.
Yeah.
All of the people who couldn't, like, I think it was the Benghazi when Benghazi, when they said, the reason that there was an upheaval was because of this YouTube video.
Yeah.
About the Twin Towers or something of that nature. That guy, he lives in a homeless shelter, as last I heard.
Whoa.
He was absolutely destroyed.
Damn.
And the thing is, only so many people can fight back. Don't take my word on it. Look it up. That's just something I heard.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. But the thing is that because of this dichotomy of it's sort of like it shouldn't be us versus the mainstream media. They're supposed to be working for us. And I think a lot of what's going on right now is that the mainstream media is sort of struggling for relevancy, because everything is clickbait. And what are clicks now? Clicks are the new currency.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as social media goes, that's the new sales, because no one's watching network television anymore, because we just want to watch our shows on Netflix. We just want to stream on Netflix. Just look what happened to YouTube. They have like 2-3 rows of mainstream stuff, and what do? We skip that to get to our subscription.
Yeah.
I don't look at any of that shit.
No.
They put it up. They pretty much rehash their policies and stuff like that just to have their stuff on the front, and none of the other shows could talk about news. Even speculate on it. And what happens is that we get caught in the crossfires. There was this one show called Dogman Encounters where one of the guys there, he constantly gets his YouTube feed taken down. All he talks about is Dogman. That's it. Dogman,
cool.
Bigfoot, investigation, stuff like that. Really cool shit. That's all he talks about. He gets taken down for political stuff because somehow his show gets caught up in the political algorithms.
What?
That's so many times whenever YouTube does a rehash, trying to squash anything that just is strictly to do with politics, we get taken down. I think Shannon LeGros, her show, she had to fight it a few times. She gets taken down on Facebook and stuff like that because of, algorithm bullshit.
Wow, that's weird.
My own show page for Conspire Theory, the Facebook page, not the group, but the regular Facebook page, it got taken down.
What?
I can't even access it, but somehow it's still connected to my group. But that's the only reason that it's up is because and I've written to Facebook several times, and I don't get any response. They just give me the, it's one of those things that I'm not big enough to make a dent.
Yeah.
But it's shit. It's hitting all of us.
That's man. We've had an episode got taken off of YouTube, and it was like it didn't follow our community guideline standards, and it was like, but we didn't talk about any names or anything. It was like, why? It's because of it was Fetzer.
It was our guest. Yeah. He's probably got like a bunch of people that are being paid by some organization that kind of looks for his filter or his name and sees any content on YouTube and like reports it
immediately,
because it was reported for hate speech.
Yeah, because he even had his books and stuff taken out of Amazon, and all kinds of shit was banned. Like he like wrote a book on how he thought maybe the moon landing was fake, and they were like, Amazon was like, nope, we're not putting that on here. It's like, wait a second, it's the person, not the content.
I love moon shit. I just love the fuck out of moon shit. I don't care if the moon's hollow, flat, fake. I love it all.
Dude.
I want to hear that shit because it entertains me. If it's one of those things that it's like I can't make an argument against it, so I'm just going to complain that it's offensive and have it taken down.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. It's
so weird.
These people like removing them. And then they'll tell the people, that are being, well, just make your own monopoly. And the thing is, they do try to make their own platforms. They do try to make their own monopolies.
Right.
But what happens is they go to the banks. So now they can't even process, payment processing. So they can't. How are they supposed to build a platform without any capital, without any bank supporting them? And I think that's what happened to Dick Masters. And he had this thing called Project 2, where he was going to fund all the people that got kicked off of Patreon and
that's cool.
got kicked off of this and that. And he was going to take them all in. He says, I don't give a fuck what you say. Just don't do anything illegal, and I'll make sure you get funding. Well, his bank got pulled out from under him.
Whoa.
And that's absolute bullshit. And it's just...
So, okay, I got lost, but is this? Are we saying that these people are getting their content pulled because of political statements that they've made, or is it just false information or quote unquote false information, because that's scary, man. Like when did content become so policed that we can't just talk about something fun, man? Like what? Yeah. That's so ridiculous.
I don't know how to best explain it, but anything that happens to David Icke is pretty much the thing. He says or does anything on any kind of platform, he's taken off. Now, I think the dude's crazy, but I still want to hear his shit because I think it's fun.
Absolutely. I'm the same way.
And I don't care. I still believe he should have a say. But the thing is it's more of I don't know, either the higher ups or whoever's in charge. I don't know who's in charge anymore. It's like there's no way to appeal it. It's like what everyone is afraid of is they're afraid of the Twitter mob. They're afraid of trending badly. That's what they're afraid of.
Yeah.
And the thing is, most of these guys, they're not going to stand up on it because they're in the same camp. They're in that same camp of, well, we don't like these people because they say mean things. It's like, well, it's not, so long as they're not breaking the law, they can say as mean things as they want to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can choose not to consume that content. I mean, I have nothing wrong with, I don't think there's anything wrong with an R rating or expletive, tag on stuff. I mean, I have nothing wrong with restriction. It's just, this is probably me being an artist dork, but when it comes to like flat out censorship, and people are actually moving the goalposts by, saying, well, the government isn't, your First Amendment rights aren't being violated because the government isn't pulling your content. It's private companies.
Interesting.
Well, just look at all this stuff now. Everything is being done through, instead of the town square is now just a corporate oligarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the guys that's where the public square goes now.
Yeah, man. I mean, but it's also like, it's not the government per se, but whenever these companies are allowed to just completely monopolize the entire market, and it's okay, it is hard, like you were saying, like for other people to start other platforms or help get funding. That's coming from somewhere. Yes, these are private companies, but they also donate big bucks to the government.
Yeah.
So they have favoritism. Yeah. That's the difference in the capitalism and corporatism. That's the system we have.
Yeah, their hands are in everybody's pockets.
Yeah, so exactly.
And because of that, it's like, I mean, every year or so we have like all the big tech guys, all the big tech nerds go up to Capitol Hill, and and basically we have these boomer, politicians saying, are you censoring, right-wing content? And they say, nope, we're not. And then because the guys asking the questions don't know anything about the internet, they go, okay, I guess, well, we tried.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's a farce. And it's just one of those things that's just so difficult to deal with, and people try to say, well, it's a private company, they should be able to do whatever they want, but it's only when I agree with it.
Exactly.
That it's, I mean, because if like right now, all the companies are making everybody wear masks to go into their stores, whether you agree with it or not. And I don't care what your stance is on the masks are, but the thing is, I mean, they're doing that. They're a private company. They should be allowed to do that. Like, well, if you're saying that, then if they are a private company, they can do whatever they want. Then they should be able to then they can or can't serve, make gay cakes if they want or not. But the guy who did that, he got sued into oblivion.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, tied up in litigation. So, I mean, that guy's pretty much gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, do the private businesses get to do whatever they want or not? And of course, we all know that the only reason that the bigger companies are doing this is because they don't want to get sued. That's what it's all about. Like, I don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
If someone gets COVID in our stores, so we're just putting this down to, to absolve ourselves of any blame. And I get that, but the thing is, only the bigger companies, somehow the government has decided that only the bigger companies can hold that standard.
Right. Yeah.
The rest of us we can't do it because we're too dumb or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's such bullshit. The whole thing is bullshit. Yeah, you're exactly right. There's no reason that like it's crazy because when you think about it, dude, it's like all this stuff happened and then they shut down all the small people and like Lowe's and Home Depot became the local watering hole for everybody in your fucking city. And it was like, all right, so instead of like having everything open where we could kind of space out and go to different areas, you're gonna close everything and force everybody in the city to go to like 5 different stores. It's bullshit. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
And there's nothing wrong with having these smaller stores, hold that standard. There's nothing wrong with that. They can do it, but better. Someone has already decided for them that no, you can't. That's why these gyms are being shut down and stuff like that. It's just a lot of crap,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I totally feel that, man.
Some weird shit going on. I mean, I'll say one last thing about censorship. On Facebook, we had a listener type. Chris, I'm sure you probably saw it because you're in the podcast group. But someone's
I'm always trolling in there.
I love it, dude. Love it. But somebody posted about this scientist, quote unquote scientist, that turned this chicken egg into a Tyrannosaurus Rex embryo, and we got flagged, and we got all these notifications like, hey, if this happens so and so more times, like we're gonna have to ban your group because it's false information. We had a third party source come in and prove that this article is false information. Like that really got under my skin.
Yeah.
As like, dude, are we okay? Again, I'll go back to my initial point was that I love this topic is because most of it is stories. There's not a whole bunch of video evidence. It's all I want to hear, like you, Chris. I want to hear the person's story. And
99% speculation.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. Like I don't care if you can prove it. I want to hear the story because I love it. But then we're getting into this weird gray area on just specifically the platform's Facebook that. Yeah, you can't just post an article and have the consumer decide for themselves if it's bullshit. If you would have clicked on it and read the article, you would have known right off the bat, like, okay, well, so they're not actually making a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
It was a clickbait article, man. Just like what we talked about in the beginning of this whole conversation. Like, yeah, it's a clickbait. Yeah.
But you should be able to make up your own choice.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the bottom line, really.
Yeah. That's being taken from us.
It really is, man. It really is. But, I mean, I guess still kind of on topic, but also shifting gears a little bit. I'm doing the big rig shift. So, when we're talking
I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
When we're talking about evidence and stuff, man, I feel like, man, this stuff has been going on for thousands of years. That's why we have a lot of the story. Thousands and thousands of years. That's why we have this folklore and these stories and things like that we do. And, we can chalk them off to, oh, well, ancient people were just trying to describe something they didn't understand with science, right? Now we consider ourselves to be pretty smart, even though in the grand scheme of things, we're still pretty dumb as a human species. But, I mean, we know physics and math and all this other stuff. Do you think that there is my personal opinion is that, there's a lot of stuff we can prove with science, but when we're dealing with something like this, in particular, whether it be, ghosts or UFOs or Bigfoot, anything that's somewhat paranormal, man, I feel like that there is maybe there's just something that science can't quite explain yet. And I feel like it's dangerous to kind of write this stuff off. What are your opinions on that?
Well, I think the thing is that we're looking for a pattern, because if we see a pattern, we're comforted by patterns because it gives us the illusion of control. So if right now it's the unknown and we don't understand it, that scares the shit out of us.
Right. If
we can develop a pattern, then we think, okay, we believe that we understand it. Then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people, people are probably more scared of a ghost than they are of a bear, even though a bear is more likely to rip your head off.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah.
You tell yourself you understand the bear because it has these behaviors, it has this environment. I can keep myself safe majority of the time if I just stay away from it and not do this and that. Whereas the ghost, it's coming out of nowhere. I have no idea what the fuck is going on, and I'm fucked. Even though as far as I know, other than folklore, other than folklore, I mean, no one has ever been killed by a ghost.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just one of those things. And I think, you know, the scientific pushback as far as, you know, I think most of that is mostly just academic, because a lot of the people that are out there, you know, I mean, they are applying the scientific method as far as gathering evidence and trying to do stuff, actually doing stuff more science-y than the actual scientist, but it's more of an academic barriers that are put up, you know, and then again, that's more bureaucracy bullshit.
Right.
But the thing is, the people who are out there, you know, they're not classically trained or formally trained or trained to the level that's going to satisfy, you know, whatever it is, and that's never going to happen, because again, those goalposts are going to be moved, because once someone does get all that training and stuff like that, then they're going to like, well, if you talk about this stuff or say anything about this, you're discredited.
Yeah. Well, also the scientific method itself relies on a pattern. It relies on consistent data that, you know, you can change, you have your control, and the thing with this let's call it paranormal as a blanket just for a second. There is no pattern, right? I mean, there has probably been thousands of science, you know, quote unquote scientific studies and tests and things like that, but at the end of the day, that's why we don't have hardcore written evidence, is because it just doesn't follow what we think of as a pattern, like you're saying. It just,
and so much of this shit can't be put on a box where it can be properly tested.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's almost, it's like it knows when you're trying to study it, and it says, "Oh, well, fuck you, man. I'll see you next time. You know, I'm gone. Like, no more. If you got cameras, no, I'm not gonna show myself." And as soon as that camera looks a different way, then they make something move right behind you, you know, or like they make a fart noise and.
yeah. It's very hard to catch this stuff off guard. I mean, most of the times you can, but as far as catching it, it's damn near impossible. Mm-hmm. I remember one of my past interviews was with Timothy Renner. He said that, you know, most of the experiences that we have from what he's caught is that a lot of this stuff is people catching the phenomena, be it ghosts or whatever. It's like we're catching it by surprise, like we're spooking them as much as they're spooking us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I immediately asked him, you know, it's like, well, if it can be caught off guard, can it be captured? And he immediately came up with a big loud no way can it be captured. And I really didn't know how to press further on that.
Wow.
That was just the thing, is that this stuff, it's very difficult to understand, you know, how to properly capture it, what constitutes, you know, good evidence.
Yeah. I have a theory. I've said this on the podcast a couple of times, Joe. You've heard me say this, but I have a feeling that the phenomenon, instead of saying paranormal, I like saying phenomenon. I just couldn't think of the word, but, you know, UFOs, aliens, ghosts, cryptids, all things weird. Boom. I think there's a wavelength or frequency or energy that capturing it or wanting to recording, like the intent of recording it through our brains or through a camera, they can pick up on that, and that's why they can avoid it so accurately. Catching it by surprise, I feel like human intent alone, without any kind of capturing device or a camera or voice recording, they can't pick up. They pick up that more than they can pick up our intent as a human. Because maybe if you come into a situation where you go into a unwilling or unknowingly go into a haunted house, and you don't know it's haunted, that's why you're more likely to come in contact with a ghost or something. Or maybe even if you know that there's a haunting going on, if you try to capture it with a camera, like, you're way less likely to see something than you are without a camera, because maybe that wavelength is stronger when you do have an apparatus that can record it. Yeah. Anyway, that's my idea.
They do have something that they call that. It's sort of the that once something is observed, that changes the parameters of it. That, like, stuff knows that it's being observed. They've proven that on a subatomic level, that the particles actually do change when they are observed.
Right.
It's sort of like some sort of theory or law or something like that. That is a thing. Is that once we throw out the intent or we have the observational, fortitude to capture to satisfactorily capture it, it knows like right ahead that it's being observed, that it picks up on the intent. So there is something there.
Yeah, I think that was the light experiment. They were trying to figure out whether a light was a wave or a particle, and when they observed it, they noticed that it would it would act however they were intending to observe it. They were like, oh, I think it's a wave. And they were like, oh, it is acting as a wave. And then they were like, but I think it's a particle. And then it acted as like a particle.
Yeah.
It's
what
really
is the name?
strange,
There's a name for that.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
It's split light, something or other. But no, that's really interesting. And it kind of, I don't know. I think it's kind of a key to this whole thing, just on a bigger scale that maybe we just don't understand yet. You know, I mean, there's just so much that you don't understand. But I mean, this stuff is awesome. You know, this stuff is like really interesting. Like me and Ben always talk about how, you know, it's crazy that this kind of stuff doesn't interest more people. You know, like it's such a topic that, man, like if they ever crack the code and they're like, look at this, we figured this out, everybody's gonna be like, I told you, remember? And it's like, no, you didn't tell anybody.
And then they say, did you see what Kim Kardashian did yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so easy for people to go through their lives without any of this affecting them. You know, it's like the flat earth stuff. It's like, nobody knows, nobody really cares because it doesn't affect their lives. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with it being niche or whatever it is. But those of us that are really, really into it, you know, I mean, it's hard to let it go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't let it go, man. Me and Joe and Chris, you probably as well. Like, we just have curious minds. I know for a fact we all three do, and the people listening to this right now definitely do. I mean, it's fun, but it's also, I feel like, the sense of importance. You know, I mean, we joke around a lot. You know, we make fart jokes and shit, but like, well, I just love talking about this stuff. And man, if we figure out something, awesome, great. I mean, do we have a podcast after that? I don't know, maybe not. So maybe it's good that we never figure it out, or I don't know. I just is it more fun? Would it be more fun if we figured out exactly how it all works? And would we be satisfied? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and we noticed that the phenomenon, as far as we understand it, is evolving. You know, with our technology and with everything, you know, it's like one of the things that I've noticed in the contactee lore is that how the aliens gain entry into people's bedrooms changes over the years.
Yeah,
I mean, before they you know, the people, they would see the craft out there, and then they would see the aliens come up, walk up to their windows and stuff like that, and then they would see them peer into the windows and then crawling through the windows, and now it's like they see them, you know, coming in through portals in the walls, and now they just see them just manifest, you know, right at their bed, at the foot of their bed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and I'm wondering is like, I mean, you know, has it always been like that? Have they always done that? And people just didn't know how to explain how this thing came into their room, and they're just filling in the blanks as they best understand it.
Yeah.
Or has you know, the aliens, whatever they are, has their technology been improving over the years? It's like, okay, we don't have to crawl through windows anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
like they enter in a new year and they're like looking at their budget and asking their general, like, hey, so did you guys figure out like how to get through doors yet, or are we good? Like, are we still doing the door handle thing? How are we doing on door handle technology?
Yeah, dude. I mean, you even hear stuff like you know, that even like kind of cross pollinates a little bit. You know, it's like I've even heard people say, you know, like, you have to invite them in, and it's like, whoa, that sounds like the vampire story. Yeah. You know, like you have to invite it in for it to be able to, you know, come into your house. And it's like, whoa, are we kind of like, you know, was maybe a vampire back in the day? Like, were those aliens and we just thought that they were vampires because we didn't really know about aliens back then? You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Or somebody had an experience like that and decided to make it more grounded. Instead of aliens, it's a human.
Yeah.
And instead of taking our fear energy and consuming our fear energy, it's like, oh, they're sucking our blood.
Yeah, and like blood, taking blood from you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm taking blood, so I'm taking DNA, I'm taking your genetics.
Whoa,
Yeah.
I think you did it.
I did it. I figured it out.
Yeah, a lot of the core of the phenomenon and stuff, all these different archetypes, a lot of them, I think tip their hat at the paralysis phenomena. And I'm not saying that's the be all answer for everything, but I think a lot of that can explain a lot of, because there's a lot of parallels, like the old hags, the shadow people and stuff. They come in your room when you're sleeping and you're frozen and you're stiff. Same thing with the aliens, same thing with the succubi, same thing with them. It's like a lot of them, and I think that's a legitimate account or explanation for a lot of that phenomena, and I think a lot of it birthed from that. But that, again, that doesn't cover everything. That doesn't cover when people are outside and they see shadow people moving among the trees.
Yeah,
that doesn't account when people are like out there, and or when people like see like a strange thing in the city. They see like a kid with black eyes or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't account for all that, but I think a large deal of it is with sleep paralysis. And I think that, again, I'm not saying that's everything, but I've had my own, sleep paralysis episode.
I was gonna say you have a pretty interesting sleep paralysis story. Would you mind going into that?
Yeah. Do we want to start looking at your illustrations now?
I love
Can I do a screen recording?
I want to hear about your sleep paralysis story, though, because it cracked me up.
So pretty much, when I was like, I think ever since high school, I've been studying, paranormal stuff. So and when I got my own apartment and when I was older and stuff like that, I started having sleep paralysis episodes where, and at the time I completely understood what sleep paralysis was, but when I'm in the experience, I'm still frozen. I'm still, stuck there, and I feel the fear wash over me. And I understand, okay, this is just sleep paralysis. I know what this is, but the experience is still happening.
Yeah.
And what would happen is I'd be there. I think I remember I had one during the daytime, and I was just sleeping. I was just laying on my bed, and my body was frozen and stiff. And then, I'm just looking with my eyes around, and I can't move or anything, and I feel the fear wash over me. And what happens in my sleep paralysis episode is two people walk into my room. They walk in and they start rummaging through my stuff, and they're looking to me to see if I'm moving every now and then. And then every now and then they would open up doors and closets where I had no doors or closets. So that made no sense. That's sort of like a Alice in Wonderland type of thing, where they would like open a door where there was no door on that wall.
That's such a trip.
And just look through stuff and just go through stuff, and every now and then peeking and looking at me, making sure that I'm not moving or anything. And then when I would start to get up, then they would move out. But the thing is, what these people looked like is they weren't, demons or aliens or succubis or monsters. I would have loved to have any of that shit. No. Instead, they look like fucking white trash, like white trash hillbilly.
What? Like people of Walmart.
No way.
Walmart. They look like misshapen people from Walmart that were just coming into my room, and it happened to me twice. And I would get up and I would check all my locks, all my alarms, all my stuff. Everything was secured. There's no way that anyone could have gotten in and out. But I understood that's the experience. But when you get up from that, you still have that throbbing heart, like that actually happened.
Yeah, dude.
So that's why I have a layer of empathy for all these people that have these experiences. Like, even though it may not have been real as they understand it, or as we would understand, or as we would say it's not real by our standards, it's still an experience, and I respect the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, so I'm sorry to laugh, but that's like really funny, right? Like the
fact that you prefer the alien or the demon over the people of
white
Walmart,
trash.
dude.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that, man.
I love it, dude. Yeah, so that's the man.
You need to make an illustration of that, of your own experience. That would be a great illustration for you to do.
Yeah, totally. I
think I've done a couple, but I need to like do more. I remember one time where my apartment was like haunted for like 2 or 3 months when I just moved into it. what I would do is I would come in and I would just feel a presence in my apartment. And by the way, more apartments are haunted than houses. But the reason that we don't hear about the apartments is because there's no way to market that. So, just to give everybody a heads up, there are way more haunted apartments than houses. But
so how old were you in this apartment that you experienced this stuff?
Well, this would have been like more recent, like maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
So, and every now and then I would catch a figure out of the corner of my eye, like walking down the hallway or something, like a shadow. It's basically like a black silhouette person, like a little girl, and her hair was all flailed out like snakes, but it was just regular hair, just like it was flowing in the wind, like she was underwater or something. And I would just see it for like a split second, and I would just feel this presence. I never felt threatened by it, but it's just a hard presence that I felt.
Yeah.
And then, and then one day, I'm like, I actually talk about it on Facebook. They're like, yeah, my apartment's haunted. I felt this. And then I suddenly felt this emptiness, just hit.
Whoa.
Like, oh, wait, shit, I think it just left. I posted about it, and then it decided to walk up. It's like, screw this. It's like, I think what happened was the ghost got so bored, because all I do is watch anime and play XCOM and play video games and shit like that. It's like there's nothing to do with me. And it's like, crap. Like, this guy isn't gonna do
she's
do
like,
shit,
like poking you with a stick, like do something.
He's not even scared.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck, great. He's posting on Facebook. Great, I'm a meme now. I'm the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. Man, I've had just. Maybe it's just the time of the day, or maybe I'm just what I was watching on TV or whatever. But when I was younger, this is kind of a funny thing. When I was younger, we lived in this house, and man, I would always get the weirdest feeling. Like I always felt like something was looking at me, or like I could never walk down the hallway. I would always run down the hallway. I would always have to turn lights on and stuff like that. And then it was at night, and man, I could have swore that there was something there. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. It was just this overwhelming sense of there's something here. And so I start yelling, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to kick your ass. And then my mom comes out and she's like, who are you talking to? Like that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I felt stupid. I was like, I couldn't say I feel like there's a ghost here, or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. But I was genuinely terrified for whatever reason. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was like, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to kick your ass.
I think the worst feeling for people is when they have this experience, they think it's just them. And then when they finally open up and talk about it, the other person who was there says, yeah, I felt that too. That has got to be the worst feeling ever, is not just to talk about it, and feel the embarrassment of, oh, cringe, but to actually have someone confirm it.
Yeah.
That's gotta be shit.
Oh, it's real now. If two people have the same thing, oh my gosh. I'll say
it's not just me, it's confirmed.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so while we're on the topic of, let's say, shadow people, right? I mean, you didn't say ghosts, like the white specter that people think of, Casper or anything. I'm thinking what you saw, Chris, is maybe a shadow person, and Joe, maybe it was too dark to see a shadow person, but man,
that's racist.
But shadow people, I've had one experience, and it was at my girlfriend at the time in high school. I was their house, their neighborhood was supposedly built on Native American territory.
Oh, that shit's definitely haunted.
Did I tell you this already? The story?
I think you've said it on. I don't know.
I probably said it, but in case people haven't heard the story, Chris, I don't know if you've heard the story, but I mean it's real quick. I've never felt it weird in this house ever, but one time I was coming out of the bathroom and there's this hallway. Archway into the living room, and I saw a person that was taller than me, probably 6'5". I'm 6 foot, so it was a human figure that was black shadow, and it was daylight, and it just walked straight through me, and I just felt really cold and tingly and weird. The hairs on my neck stood up, and it just kind of like I looked because I was turning off the light. And I looked, so there wasn't like a contrast in between light and dark. It was very light everywhere. It wasn't like, the shock of turning on or off a light in a contrasting room. Everything was kind of the same lighting, so there wasn't any. I don't think there was any light tricks, but saw a figure that just walked through me, and I felt really weird after that. That was my only. That's my shadow figure story. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, when you see that, I think my mother. She used to have this story before she passed. Was she would always tell us the story of seeing a person of light, which was weird.
Ooh.
When we were young, I think I was probably 4 years old, and my brother was like 8, and we would sleep in the same room, and we had this L-shaped hallway. And I think one day my mother got up, and she just went to go get a drink of water or something. She opened the door, and she sees a figure standing outside of our bedroom, and it's made out of light.
Whoa.
And it's like she can only see it from the knees up. And it's like the knees are like, it's like when it gets to the knees just fade off into nothing, as far as she could best describe it. And it's just this, like, I guess I figured, just standing outside of our doorway. And then of course she goes in a shock of seeing, someone there. She jumps, and then it just blinks out of existence. So that was sort of a weird thing.
That's strange.
Yeah.
The light person. So are you of the thought, or maybe what did you say? It was your mother or your grandmother? What? Mother. So do you think, did she ever say like, oh, it was an angel, or was she like, oh, that was something else?
Yeah, any paranormal shit that happened in our house, my mom would immediately go to, it's your guardian angel.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was like a cope method to keep me from, turning into what I am now.
Yeah,
it worked.
My mom did the same thing, dude.
Yeah. And another phenomenon that would happen is I'd have this clear audio phenomena where I would hear my mother's voice calling for help, like in the other room, and I would be sitting in my room drawing or doing something. It's always when I'm drawing. And this is when I'm like 15 years old. So I'm at the prime candidate for what they call the poltergeist agent.
Okay.
Where you're most likely to experience or to be the agent of poltergeist activity. Which is a young kid going through puberty and all that stuff. That's when you have your most angst. And often with most kids, it would channel into poltergeist phenomena. Well, with me, I would hear my mother's voice asking for help, and it wasn't like she was asking for like oh, I'm dying, help me. It's more like help. I like as if she wanted to get something off the top shelf.
Yeah.
And then I get up and I go to the room or whatever room she's in, and I say, what? What
do you want?
And she's like, I didn't say anything. It was your guardian angel. Well, one time, she was out in the backyard, tending to her garden, and we have the sliding glass door, and all the doors were closed, all the windows are nailed shut because it's a bad neighborhood, and then I hear the voice, and then I get up, and I stumble and I open the door, and the door lets out this loud creak because it's an old sliding glass door, and then I say to Mom, I yell out to Mom, and like, what, and she's like, I didn't call you, and then I shut the glass door, and the glass door is really, really loud, and there was absolutely no way for her to trick me with that. And this was like in the 1990s, 1980s. So if anyone's like, oh, she hit a Bluetooth speaker in the wall or something like that.
Right.
There was no way for this to have had happened.
Whoa.
But for me to specifically to hear that's just weird. That's sort of like with that, I think it was what is it, Michael Bendis, or the black-eyed kid guy, where like everyone keeps trying to denounce his account because they say because we now have the black-eyed sclerosis lenses that people can put in. Yeah. But during the 1990s, the early 90s, when he was doing that wasn't available, and if it was extremely expensive.
I haven't heard about this. What is?
And there's no way that because just to give you guys a leg up on what happened is it's the account where the guy saw two black-eyed kids. He went to the mailing box to pay his bill, his cable bill, his Paragon, and he's like driving by a streetlight. He's writing out a check because this is like early 90s. So he's writing the check, and then he sees a knock on the door on the window, a door, and it's two kids. They ask if they can get a ride to their mother's house so they can get money to watch the movie. And then he looks up at the marquee because he's right next to the movie theater. And we're going to watch Mortal Kombat. And it's like he looks up, the last showing is already like halfway past. So, they've already missed the last showing. And then the kids start getting aggressive with him, let us in. We can't hurt you if you invite us in or some stuff like that. And the weird thing is he felt his hand moving to the door to let them in, and he had to pull his hand away, and and then when he looked up at them, they were like, one of them was wearing a hood, and he could see the blacks of their eyes were like voids. Dude. And it freaked him out so much that he drove off, and as he drove off, he looked in the rearview mirror and they were gone. So that was that's one of the catalysts for what is the modern day Black Eyed Kid account.
Yeah. Wow.
And I kind of compared my experience to that because there's no technical way that what happened to me could have happened in the time frame that it did.
Right. Yeah, dude. It's almost like with all this stuff, man, like people forget, dude, like a lot of this stuff didn't exist, back in the day when we were living in the 1900s, bro. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't around that, it could be done now, but that doesn't account for anything that could have happened back then. Yeah.
It's crazy to think about the 1900s was only 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed is whenever we do any stories, a lot of stuff happens in cycles. And I think what happens, like we have the cycles of the Black Eyed Kids, we have the cycles of the Dog Man. And I think what happened is these experiences, they were always there. It's just, we hear the story, it'll rattle a few stories loose. And in some cases, some people, something happened to them, they don't know what it was. But they figure, oh, well, it must have been a dog man. It must have been that. So then that gets categorized into that story.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens a lot of times is that when these scopes happen, they shake stories loose. And I think this kind of stuff is always happening. All the weird shit is always happening. And the reason that we're hearing about the more weird shit now is because we have a more open forum and platform. We have, like your podcast and stuff like you guys, all things weird. Before, in early literature stuff, the only stuff that I could get was either Bigfoot, ghosts, and UFOs. That's it. Bigfoot pretty much dominated the literary market. If there was any other kind of cryptid, it was either put off in a weird, miscellaneous section or anything else. There was nothing dedicated specifically to that because Bigfoot was the big seller. All these companies, they had to make money, and they knew that Bigfoot and ghosts and stuff like that and UFOs, those were the big sellers. So that's what we talk about.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Intimate details and stuff like that. The Black Eyed Kids, all that stuff was probably sidelined and sitting on the cutting room floor of most publishers' stuff because they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Now with us out there, there's a place for these stories to resonate to.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
Counts. Yeah. And then again, the art of conversation, I think that's why we're seeing a rise in podcasting now is because, like I said, you can't talk about this shit on Facebook. It's really hard. It turns into clickbait Google foo.
Yeah.
And with all that, with here, we're sort of bringing back the art of conversation. I mean, even listening to George Norrie and stuff like that and Art Bell and all that, yeah, those were great shows, but they were tightly formatted. They had, you couldn't hear anyone cuss or anything like that.
Oh, definitely.
Art Bell's show,
yeah, he would cut you off.
Yeah, they would have to do everything within the commercial segments. And if someone said something that was, detrimental to the sponsors, well, fuck that. You can't get your show on.
Yeah.
And with the podcasting, it presents these alternate avenues and stuff like that for people to hear these stuff that they would have never have heard before. So I think now is probably the best time for paranormal, any kind of content. And I really think that's why podcasting and stuff is becoming such a juggernaut. It's no wonder we jumped into it because it's so much fun. And we're actually talking about stuff. It's
Yeah.
not just,
Oh, yeah, dude.
blah, 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 let's read this story, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
type of thing.
I mean, just as we're on this topic of podcasting and how awesome it is now, like such an awesome format. I mean, I started listening to the Joe Rogan podcast about 5 years ago. I remember watching the 200th episode or listening to the 200th. That's when I started, and I loved it because they talked about aliens and all that stuff. And then he kind of like steered away from doing that, and I've always wanted to do. That's all I want to hear is about the UFOs and Bigfoot and cryptids and weird shit. And it just kind of happened so, effortlessly when me and Joe, we've been playing together with music for like 10 years. And man, it's just been, I love it, not just because now we have an outlet to talk about this stuff, but we also get to talk to people like you that also are interested in this topic. And we get to talk to other people directly. We don't have to listen to another show kind of just touch on it and for a 10-minute segment and then a shit ton of commercials.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the long form stuff, so I'm excited where this is all going for sure, man.
Yeah, and another thing is that I think one of Joe Rogan's greatest strengths, it's great to make fun of him. Everybody makes fun of him. You have to. It's hilarious. He's big enough. He can take it.
Yeah.
Or at least not height ways, depending on but still, anyway, he's not tall enough to take it, but he's big enough to take it.
Yeah.
The point is that the point is that when he's not Art Bell, he's with Art Bell. He gives his guests enough rope to hang themselves. That's sort of what Art Bell does. With Joe Rogan, he'll immediately come in like, dude, that sounds like bullshit.
Yep.
And he gives that sort of down to earth sort of cynical view of stuff, and the thing is he'll hear people out. That's sort of what I kind of like, that unless you really piss him off, which takes a lot of work to piss him off.
Yeah,
but
he's cool as a cucumber. It's very it's difficult to piss him off if you talk over him or anyway. I'm like totally on the Joe Rogan train. Like, I have nothing bad to say about the guy. But no, I agree. Like, he doesn't give the speaker or guest enough rope. That's a great analogy. Enough rope to hang himself with. Like, he'll stop him and say, like, hold on, wait a minute. That's a little much. Which, man, I'll be honest. Like, maybe I need that a lot. And when I'm listening to content too, because I love this topic so much that I will listen to literally anything you have to say. I won't stop you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, he does a good enough balance of it where they still get to have their say, but he'll reflect on it. Every now and then he'll like hang on a minute. He's still a meathead. He's still gonna have that take, but it's just he lets them have their say, and then he'll interject with his stuff. But it's a no bullshit stance most of the time.
Yeah,
right.
I think we need that as far as our community of like-minded, curiosity-driven minds. I think we definitely need that balance. I think he definitely inspired me to get up the balls to try to do this whole thing. So, I mean, man. Also, he's a Texan now. He just moved to Austin.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, bro.
I'm going to try and landscape his house.
Oh,
and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And Alex Jones.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit those dudes up.
All three.
Yeah, well, your rent's going up, not mine. So
yeah, well, I live like 25 minutes east of Austin. So my taxes are pretty sweet. I'm enjoying it. I know Austin's taxes are about to go back up because they just approved that train, the underground train. So that's going to be expensive.
I really don't know how I feel with that, because, I may not agree with all his policies and his politics and stuff like that, but, you can't ignore the impact that he's had on the community, just as a whole, but again, he's big enough that we can take a crack at.
Oh yeah, he's probably never going to hear this ever, so we're fine.
and the one of the things is that Austin is sort of like, I give you guys lots of shit, but the thing is that I do that is because, the relationship between San Antonio and Austin is pretty much is that San Antonio we have all this stuff, we do all this stuff, but no matter how good or big we are, Austin is always the cool cousin. And everybody wants to hang out with the cool cousin. Nobody wants to come and hang out with us.
Yes, man.
It's so true.
That's why there's this sort of like this animosity between me and these guys.
Right.
It's just if the listeners are trying to cue in, I'm like, why the fuck is Chris giving him so much shit? well, here's why. I mean, and as far as political stuff, I mean, everyone describes Texas as a gigantic red ass, and Austin is the blue butthole of the big red butt cheeks of Texas.
Exactly it. Yes.
Blue butthole.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But dude, I gotta tell you, man, I love San Antonio. Big heavy metal community in San Antonio. I like my metal,
Definitely. We get like Ozfest a couple of years in, and then coming through, it's great.
Yeah, I saw Blink 182. I saw Blink 182 in San Antonio.
That's not metal,
dude. Well, I mean, it's music. It has something to do with it.
They have guitars.
Yeah. With the Henry B. Gonzalez Center and the Alamo Dome. I mean, this place is made for big events.
Oh yeah, man. Dude, I don't know if like you're into sports or anything, but I was so bummed that San Antonio didn't push harder to get the Raiders there. That would have been fucking cool as shit. I would have maybe not been a Cowboys fan. I would have been a San Antonio Raiders fan. That would have been so cool. Fuck, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, I think what was it when we hosted the Saints for like a couple months after one of the hurricanes.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it would have been cool too because the Raiders would have matched the Spurs. I hate the Spurs, by the way, but yeah, I'm a Mavs guy. So, but yeah, man, that would have been super awesome to have the Raiders there. But yeah, dude, I love San Antonio, man. It's a really cool spot. Me and my wife try to go down there whenever we can. Like if we're gonna go hang out, that's where we go to hang out. Or we go out in the hill country somewhere. It's either San Antonio or the hill country. I hate the beach. But technically, I've never been to like a real beach with like, I've always been to like, like down.
Corpus Christi doesn't count as a real beach.
Nah. No. It's just like, it looks like a giant lake. It's so brown. And you get in and then you walk out and you're covered in like seaweed and like oil. And you're like, fuck, this is terrible. I got sand in my ass. This is awful.
Jellyfish sticking out your...
Yeah, dude. Oh man, but I San Antonio or the hill country, man. Those are my spots for sure in Texas at least. So,
hey Chris, so I'm just looking at these illustrations. Sorry, maybe switching gears here, but
shift the big rig.
Can we talk about those illustrations that you sent me, or do you have to go to the bathroom, or I think I have to pee real quick, unless we want to hit right into it. Or
well, keep going because I mean I'm here. So
all right, well. Yeah.
Well, we could take 5 minutes and then you guys can take care of your stuff.
Okay. All right.
How about this? How about you just go pee and then I'll just tell people to go check out PhoenixShaving.com. If you're after you finish smoking your small batch Redeemer CB doobie, you might smell a little funky. You might smell a little bit like the devil's lettuce. So you need to freshen up. Go check out Phoenix Shaving at PhoenixShaving.com. Those guys are super awesome. So that's, it's kind of a bummer because we used to have Abduction 51 with us and they're no longer a company. I think this COVID stuff kind of ate them up. That's why we took on Redeemer. Go check those guys out. They got everything for your beard, soap for your body. They got razors and high quality shaving cream. Dude, Chris, I don't know if you've ever checked them out, but have you ever checked out Phoenix Shaving? Where'd you go, Chris? You there? Maybe Chris took a 5 too. No biggie. Because I'm still here, even though Ben went to the bathroom. I think Chris dipped out too.
Oh, nice.
I'm over here asking him questions like a big dummy. But he's back. What's up, Ben?
Oh, what's up, dude? Hey, did you talk about small batch Redeemer yet?
I did. I told everybody that if they just smoked a CB doobie from small batch Redeemer, they're probably gonna need to freshen up a little bit with the products by Phoenix Shaving.
Yeah.
At PhoenixShaving.com. And And let me just say this. Most importantly, go to UFOGaragePC.com. Check us out. That's where you can find all of our affiliates. That's where you can find all the goodies. If you're confused on how to use the internet, go to UFO. Sorry, I burped. There's all this beer. Sorry about that. Go to UFOGaragePC.com, and every one of our episodes is up on the site.
Hey, and if you love our podcast, if you're new or if you've been around for a while, man, we've got, if you want to support us, buy a t-shirt. We get a little bit of a profit off of that, so that'll keep us going. It not only will pay for new equipment for the studio. I'm thinking about upgrading our microphones soon. I mean, we're good now, but we're obviously we can't go to any events.
Shirt mics.
But shirt mics might be cool, or another tiny mic might be cool.
Ooh, 2 tiny mics. Dude.
But it also would go towards our expenses when it goes to like putting the podcast on the internet. You know, that stuff's not free. It's the podcast. What does Ryan Sprague say? The podcast is free to consume, but it's not free to make. You know. Yeah.
And so right now, most of this is going to go to the documentary that we're working on.
Yeah, probably.
Yep.
But you know that's another passion project that I think most of you guys know about if you've been with us for the past couple of months. Man, the It's Time doc is going to be great, man. I don't know if we've totally nailed down a time. I think we should go to Arkansas first.
I think we should just drive there go do it.
I think so too.
Yeah,
man.
This COVID thing has put like kind of the brakes on a lot of stuff. I've sifted through all the material we've received so far. So I'm ready for some new material, and I'm ready to get them stories, dude.
We've got so much stuff. It's like it's been a couple of months since we started looking into doing this stuff, and we talk to Eric almost once every other day, and it's almost like it's a new image or video or a new story. He's just, man, it's a never-ending thing. It's great. I love it.
Yeah,
and we're slowly piecing the story together, dude. I'm excited to get it started. Like, we need to go ahead and just get up there, dude. I think it's going to be early September, which that's when I'll be free. I don't know if we want to plan on this live on the podcast, but I don't know. I'm just throwing out a date.
But yeah, guys, if y'all want to help support that, man, go to itstimedoc.com and check it out, man. I mean, every little bit helps, and we have different levels. You can get monthly updates. You can get a t-shirt. You can even get a link to view the documentary before it comes out.
Yes.
And also you can get an opportunity to sit here and chit chat with Eric.
Yeah.
And ask him some questions, man. He's such an awesome dude. You'll love it.
Yeah. And all the donations are for that documentary are going towards renting equipment, high quality equipment. We want this documentary to look awesome and edited awesome. So that costs money. So that's where the money's going.
Definitely.
We explain that in on the website, but just so you guys know, we're not like, hey, give it, come on now.
We are but humble slaves to society, and we could use a little help to create great content.
We need some help to create the greatest documentary.
We've got to pay the king his taxes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Man. Joe Jorgensen, 2020 Libertarian Party.
Okay.
That's the end. Nice. Dude, are you there, Chris?
Right, we're back. Yep.
Hey,
I had to go take a piss.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries.
I had to go fill up I'm drinking hot Earl Grey tea, and I'm putting in a touch of whiskey and honey.
Oh, hell yeah. Hot toddy.
Yeah. I like it.
One time I was drinking like Bud Ice, and my tongue started to swell when I was drinking. I guess I was dehydrating myself, and I started. I already talk like I have special needs, but now it's like even more so when I do that. So I don't drink beer on the podcast anymore. It's either warm tea or water.
Oh my god! I totally know what you mean, man. Like when I start getting a little tipsy, my tongue gets fat. And I just trip over my own tongue, man. I totally. The same thing happens to me, man.
That's crazy, man. Well, yeah, dude. So we wanted to kind of get into some of these images. Right now, one of the images that we're looking at is this hot chick on a 4-wheeler, dude. And there's like There's like some looks like shadow people out in the background. They're like in a forest, maybe. Can you explain that a little bit to us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, don't say she's too hot because that's kind of illegal. Because that's Shannon LeGros when she was 15.
Oh, Joe! Come on! Damn it! You tricked me.
Oh, her account was that she was four-wheeling on like a relative's property. There were mesquite trees in the mesquite forest, and she was going through them. And as she was going through them, she saw like about 4 or 5 shadow figures weaving through the trees, like they were just running through the trees, like they were booking it. And what she noticed is that they were running as if they were maybe running through the trees, like they weren't being hindered. They were running at full speed, and she was like RVing, just cruising through.
Yeah.
And this was like when she was a kid, and that's one of the experiences that definitely shaped her.
Wow.
Shannon LeGros, she runs this show called Into the Fray, and it's really good. It's a good show. She's one of my big inspirations for doing this stuff. One of my huge influences.
That's pretty crazy, dude. Like, it's so okay. So let me get this straight. We've got an 18-year-old chick on a 4-wheeler, and she's riding through the mesquite, and she sees these random, like, just shadow figures in the back, and it becomes her inspiration, dude. I mean, like, as a child, like, to me, like, that's one of the most interesting things is, like, a lot of this stuff, like, happens to people as a child, and it kind of affects them through their whole life. And one thing that I do find interesting also is that, like, it's weird because, like, when you're younger, you see some of these things and it affects people differently. Like in this instance, it was like an inspiration to her. In other instances, you might see something crazy as a child and then just completely forget it, like Terry Lovelace. We had him on the show, and he had stuff that was happening to him as a child, but he never even, like, connected the dots until, like, later on in his life as an adult,
Yeah. I remember talking to him before his book came out. This was in Houston. I think it was Hurricane Harvey came through, and it flooded out this. There was like a convention happening, like the almost like the day after Harvey, and it was like 2 or 3 days after it. And I'm driving down to Houston, and I'm seeing all the flood damage and shit, and it completely destroyed the attendance of this paranormal convention, and it was really sad. But Terry Lovelace was one of the guests there, and this was before his book came out. It was before he hit it big, and I think Travis Walton was there, and I told my Travis story there, where I got to have dinner and hang out with Travis Walton because no one else was there to talk to him.
Whoa. That's cool.
So I had Travis Walton all to myself, and he is the coolest dude. And Terry Lovelace too. He is so freaking awesome. He's like such a cool guy.
They're great. And
I got to sit there and talk to him, just nonchalantly for like maybe like an hour or two. And he is such a cool guy. And and I was like talking about him, about his experiences, and his book hadn't been published yet. He was giving out leaflets and stuff like that, and it's just amazing how that experience like transformed him, and how he's trying to approach it and come out with, like, as a lawyer and stuff, and try to cover his ass and explain the legality of maybe why some of these people don't come forward, because if they do, they're going to get so much litigation from the government and shit like that. It's like, well, why is there so much silence on this? And it's like, well, this guy gives some insight.
Yeah, definitely.
It really does. Yeah. And the fact that he didn't want to come out with a story until he was, for sure able to do it without retired. Yeah. His legal practice. Like, yeah, it makes total sense why somebody would wait to talk about this stuff, because I mean, now it's all out in the open, but he doesn't have a career to think about, because this stuff, it sucks, but that's the reality of our culture, is that things like this topic can ruin people's credibility, and that's really shitty. I hope that changes soon, though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we've just reached the point of just people are just afraid of getting scrutinized, but we haven't hit the point where cancel culture has come into our community yet.
Oh,
I mean, I think we have, like, I think it was the Jan Harzan, stuff like that, Stan Romanek, people like that. But I mean, we have stuff like that coming in, and it's like that's not really cancel culture. That's more like, hey, you fucked up.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no deliberate like campaign by weirdos to get these guys to get anyone taken out.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah.
But I'm really holding my breath and hoping that it doesn't happen yet, because I think once paranormal stuff, if it ever becomes mainstream, then yeah, we'll totally see that shit.
Yeah.
But for right now, it's so niche that we're able to at least keep our house somewhat clean. I mean, there are a lot of weirdos here, and I got some weirdo stories, and I really don't want to get into them right now because I think we've got enough time already.
Yeah.
But there's just so much stuff in any of the paranormal communities, and it's just a thing, and I really do think that we're doing somewhat of a good job, keeping our house straight somewhat. I mean, the thing is, with all the people, with all the weirdos, all the charlatans and all that stuff, you don't have to buy their books, you don't have to support them.
Yeah.
If you think there's something up with them, you can openly criticize them I mean, I'm not saying harass them, but you can openly put up your criticism, like, well, this is my stance on this and this subject and stuff like that. Like let me bring up like Stan Romanek. I'm starting to believe that maybe he was set up. That I think that stuff was planted on him, because from the interviews, the guy is such a fucking moron. There's no way that he would put child porn on a zip drive and leave it right next to his desk, because that's too many steps of levels of security of intelligence that I don't think he possesses.
Oh,
Yeah. That makes sense, dude.
Dude, I never thought of that. Yeah.
I think they got him, but not because I don't think he's a pervert. He's two things. That's another thing that's happening in this community and any of the communities, is that there's this duality. Two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where this political bullshit is coming in, trying to polarize any opinions. Well, if you believe this, then you support this. It's like, no, two things can be true at the same time. He can be a creepy guy, and he didn't, have that kiddie porn. Because I don't think he's smart enough to know how to get that stuff. I don't that requires a level of savvy that I don't think he has.
Yeah.
I've seen his evidence, and from what I'm judging by looking at, I mean, I do Photoshop and stuff like this. I think, what is it, Joe? You do graphic design? Or
Ben does the graphic design.
Yeah.
Ben, okay, Ben, you do the graphic design stuff. You understand Photoshop.
Yes.
You know all that shit. And looking at the stuff, you can see the smudge marks from the smudge tools that he uses to edit his images. You can see, like stuff where stuff just does not line up, where certain shadows just do not line up and stuff like that.
There are a lot of inconsistencies. Yeah. Only on a couple, not on all of them.
Yeah. If you have an eye, you can scrutinize. There is a case to make some scrutiny. Now, I'm sure some of his experiences were genuine, but that doesn't again mean that all of them were. Again, two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
He can be a contactee, and he can also fake his shit.
Right.
But
I'm on the same idea that, I mean, someone said it in his documentary, but if 1% of his story is true, then it's the most credible source that we've got as far as documentation goes.
Yeah, and again, I mean, that's not I'm not going to die on that hill. If he actually did all that stuff, then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. If he admits to it and all that stuff, that's fine. But it's just the thing is, it just, I'm kind of sort of like throwing that seed. Maybe I'm just being, intentionally facetious.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. It's like, after looking at this guy, I'm like, yeah, this guy's a moron.
Yeah, dude. That's funny, man. That's funny.
I don't know. I don't know what to think about it all, man. It's definitely like it. The thing that I always talk about is, I'm not saying that I believe one way or the other, but I will say this. Now, whether he did it or not, I don't really know. I can't publicly say this if I believe it or not, but I will say this. I do know that, I mean, just think about what are the ways you can discredit somebody that is speaking out against whatever you stand for, and if you're as powerful as whatever these entities are, these third-party entities that were supposedly stopping him on a daily basis or whatever, on a weekly basis, and beating him up. If they have the resources to do that, they probably have the resources to hack in your computer and put some shit on there that's not supposed to be on there. That's all I'll say, is that I believe that that's possible. I don't know, man. I again, like, I'll use your words, Chris. I'm not prepared to die on that hill, but I feel like that's the possibility. Like, someone put that shit on his computer.
Yeah, I mean, just because I can't explain it doesn't mean it can't be possible, type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm not that smart. I know I'm not that technically savvy, but I do know that, computers are a big old mess and stuff like that. And,
yeah.
And it's just...
Even I don't know. I mean, I'm not a computer genius. I wouldn't know how to put something on someone else's computer. Like, I mean, I know Photoshop and Illustrator, but I don't know. It takes a pretty specific mind and background to know how to do that stuff. And I'm just throwing this out there, but like deep web stuff, this is what I'm guessing is where all this fucking child porn is coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to know how to access that, which, dude, I don't ever want to touch that shit because it's going to put a virus on your computer that, like, just
Yeah,
even...
I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, if you're at least somewhat technically savvy, you know how to avoid that shit. And this guy, even though he may not be that technically savvy, I mean, I think as far as having it on a zip drive on a desk, that's too on the nose for someone like him.
Yeah.
Because a guy, especially the guy who's like a big old idiot. I mean, he presents himself like he's a moron. And that's just my personal opinion. That's just me talking.
Yeah.
But it seems like a guy, he would have a folder on there and it would say, "Not kiddie porn, don't look, taxes."
Yeah, exactly.
I love making fun of him, because he's just such a goofball.
He is kind of a big goober, right? Like, he seems like a sweet guy to me. I don't know, but he is. There's an element of he's a little creepy, right? Like,
he was like, I was riding my bike and they beat me up. Like,
why were you on the bike, dude?
Why you on a bike, dude?
He took out 3 special black op agents with a fucking bike chain. Yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah, I don't know about that part. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, man, just avoid all that shit together. Just go premium on Pornhub. I mean, just do
like the rest of the.
Just spend the $9 a month. You're already doing it for Netflix and Hulu. You might as well do it for Pornhub.
You don't even need to fucking pay for it. I mean, just. And I really shouldn't talk too much on that stuff because I do the art shit, and I get the weirdos that come in. It's like, hey, for a couple extra bucks, can you draw me having sex with a werewolf in the forest? It's like, well, I'm gonna have to charge extra for that. Okay, here you go. I gotta take care of that.
That's the anime kind of culture, right? Like, there's a lot of sexuality exposed, or not exposed, but like expressed through that specific type of illustration.
I'm already a weirdo. I already know I'm a fucking weirdo. I already know that the sexual depravity people, they're out there and stuff. Like, I deal with them. I'm a furry. I'm an anime guy. I'm into all this fandom shit, and that's another avenue that I wanted to go with my show, where I would talk about not just like when I first started the show, I thought I was trying to think of a name, and it's like paranormal, blah, blah. I don't want to do the paranormal stuff because I wanted to be more than just ghost shit. And I thought, conspiracies are safe.
Yeah.
I can go there.
It's kind of like a blanket.
And then now it's like conspiracies are the worst thing to talk about because that's the shit that gets you fucking canceled and it gets you fucking dethroned and deplatformed and all that shit. I was like, oh fuck. But at the time, I thought conspiracies were safe because it's like whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll just talk about the fun shit. Hillary Clinton is a lizard person, and and all this shit like that. And then I talk about I wanted to do television conspiracies and stuff like that. Are Rachel and Ross gonna ever get together? Type fun shit like that.
Dude. Yeah, I love that.
I actually did a show where me and one of my friends, we just talked about a Saturday morning cartoon for 90 minutes. And that's all we did.
Hell yeah.
And we talked about all the conspiracies, is this person gonna get with this person? And it was one of my funnest episodes. It didn't get many views, but I think because of the show I was talking about, I probably got a bunch of French listeners from that show.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's fun about doing the podcast, right? Like, you never know what's gonna hit with what community, and people. There are some. If you're interested in it, somebody else out there is going to be interested in it. And that's the funnest part, is finding out that no, the shit we talk about, like people love to talk about this kind of stuff all the time.
And with it being my show, I could talk about whatever the fuck I want, and I do try to let people know when I start up, like, okay, this is going to be a more raunchy show. If you're not into this kind of darker humor, you might not like it, or this is going to cover this kind of topic. If you're not into that, go ahead and skip it, type of thing. I try to keep a good library of stuff so that people know what they're getting into, and they don't have to worry about it. If they don't like it, that's fine. They're totally, because I do love geek culture, and I love talking superheroes and comic books and all that shit, and I love all that shit.
Yeah. Well, you're such a great artist, man. I love that not only are you interested in it, but you're also like, talented in drawing and stuff, which, I mean, we have this photo of the 4-wheeler up, and I'm like, man, that takes some talent. I mean, have you always been interested in illustration, or is this kind of a new thing, or?
Well, I've always been I've always been drawing, comic books and stuff like that since I was 12 years old. So it's been a thing that sort of stuck with me. I've gone to college for it for a few years and stuff like that. It's just always been something I've done. Now, I don't do it professionally, but it is something that like sort of always sticks with me, and that's always going to be like a part of me. So I mean, it's just doing the art and stuff. It's sort of my way of contributing to the community.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. Because I'm always open. If someone has like a few of the stuff that I've done, most of the ones that I'm showing you, those are recreations and listener accounts and stuff like that, stuff that have happened to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just one more thing, because I want to go to the next one, but I just want to say, like, just bragging on you for a second, but like the 4-wheeler is like spot on. Like it's like at an angle, and I don't know how else to say it, but it looks fucking real, dude. It's really well done. There's like so many different like physics that's going on with the
textures
tire textures.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
There's a lot of movement going on. It's awesome. But yeah, that's all I'll say. But I want to go to the next one, man. So the next one that you sent us, and I'm just going off of the images that you sent me. The next one is a sketch of a green alien, or maybe we'll call it a reptilian, but it has 3 toes and 3 hands, which like kind of brings me to, it looks like the Nazca mummies that were found recently with the 3 toes and 3 feet.
I think one was an investigator sketch that they sent to me, and they wanted me to brush it up.
Okay, yeah, it does say investigator sketch at the bottom. Yeah,
because then they one of the groups that I'm a part of, they'll send me stuff, and they'll like, hey, could you maybe brush this up, because I do like rent out my services out to like people, and I took like one of their accounts, one of them did this, and I was like, hey, let me punch this up for you.
Yeah.
And it was, what the story behind that one is that this investigator, his mother. Again, this is moms. For some reason, spooks love to bug with moms for some reason. His mom was going through the hallway, and she was like turning a corner, and she saw this what looked like a gray, but he had green skin, and he was propped up in the corner. He was just sprawled up there like Spider-Man.
Like Spider-Man.
That's how she described it. He was just sprawled up there, and he was surrounded by sparkles. Like have you ever like taken a shit too hard or gotten up too fast and these stars and stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah, every time.
It's like that. He was surrounded by stars.
Wow.
And again she like went in, she jumped because at the sudden surprise of seeing what was in front of her, and he just blinked out of existence.
Wow.
And it's like, well, what the hell happened there? And I tried to fill in the details as best I can to render it out. I know that some people try to get, well, you put 5 fingers in there instead. It's like, I'm just filling out the image. That's just to the best of my training.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. I was looking at the sketch and then realized, oh, there's 5 toes. Okay, but I mean, yeah, I'm not giving you shit for that. But I mean, I just think the illustration's awesome.
It's just a minor nitpick that some people have on social media type of thing, and it's just like, sometimes we got to fill in the blank. We got to take what we have, and we got to try to paint an entire picture.
Yeah.
But and I'm always on the cruise for like more people, like if they have experiences, feel free to come to me and explain them to me. I mean, in some cases, some people, I actually have been hired out by people to do sketches for books and stuff like that. I think I remember I was working with some guy. He was writing a book about his childhood experiences, but he never got the publishing. Unfortunately, I lost touch with him, and I don't know what happened. Maybe he just moved on with it or did something else. But I mean, I do produce sketches and stuff for like books and stuff like that, and comics and magazines and shit. So I've done all that stuff before.
Yeah, man. We had a guest on a podcast ago. Was it Sonny that was on with the egg battery?
Yeah, I heard that one.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
I would, man. We'll talk after, but I would love for you to illustrate that, dude. Oh my god. We'll talk after the show, but yeah, dude, that I would love to visualize that, have other people be able to see that. I think that would be an awesome illustration. Don't you think?
That would be sick, dude. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely would be sick.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got like some technical specs that I could probably punch up and make more out illustrated and stuff like that. But I could just imagine him, sitting there staring at the grade, say, okay, I started from the bottom. How am I supposed to get to the top now? Got a ladder or something?
Exactly. Yeah.
On the top.
That's what I loved about his story, because it was so descriptive, right? Like, I felt like I was there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh man, this guy's not a professional storyteller. I mean, he's not making this up. He saw this shit.
Yeah, dude.
Let's call it a dream, whatever. I don't care. But this fool saw that, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that thing must, dude. Yeah, I mean, he was super descriptive about it. I mean, it was almost like you were there, dude.
And that's another thing of why I like to do this stuff, because a lot of these people, they're not professional. They don't have the training and stuff like that. And I'm sort of lending my talent to, again, help them figure this shit out. It's like when I talk to them, I feel like I'm helping them solve a mystery.
Absolutely.
And I wanna figure out all these details. I wanna figure this shit out. It's as much for me as it is for them.
Yeah.
It's because I wanna get these details and see, okay, how will this work? How could this have happened?
Right.
Type of thing, and sort of jotting it. It's like you got to get it out of your system somehow.
I feel like it's
and I imagine that's how they feel.
Yeah. I feel like it's analogous to writing music, right? Like, I'm a songwriter, Joe's a musician and songwriter. I mean, like, just having this idea and being able to manifest it, it's almost like I have to get this, I just have to get it out and record it, and then, I'm good. Yeah. And then I don't write a song for a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's awesome. I think, if anybody's listening, I mean, do you want to give out your information, or just say, hey, like, if you have a story and you want me to illustrate it, like, can people reach out to you through
it's not going to always be for free, because I do have a daytime job and
right.
stuff like that.
I didn't mean that.
But the thing is, if you need to, if you want to hire me out to help you out, I can be found on Facebook. I'm in the group. You can find me there, Chris Holm. You can come to my show. I have the show account, which is Conspire Theory at Outlook.com. That's the show account for the show email. And I get a lot of spam in there, but I will try to rifle through and make sure that I get, if you have a legit experience that you want to share with me. I'm always open to hearing people's stories. I'm always open to hearing people out. I haven't been able to post shows lately because of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those guys that's like, everybody's doing stuff and I'm like, I'm working the entire thing. It's like, I'm not one of these guys that gets to sit at home or anything and wait for the rest of the world to keep up. I have to. I'm pretty much swamped now with work. That I'm able to get a day off just to get this. I'm putting in like 60 plus hours a week.
Damn, son.
Like,
well, that's awesome. I mean, I'm glad you're busy, man. I know maybe it's not good for the creative outlook, but man, there's like, yeah, it's awesome that you have that job to go to, and I know a lot of people listening are probably like, oh man, I wish I had that 60-hour week. I could use it.
And I know, and I'm like very grateful for that. But that's just how the chips fell, and it's just. But again, it's like if people want to share their experiences with me, I mean, that's not going to guarantee anything.
Yeah.
But I do love hearing about people's experiences. This stuff fascinates me, especially if it's something along the lines of like a cryptid encounter or let's see, like one of my things that I just love the most is the contactee experience. Like I can never get enough of those. I'm always like, whenever anybody like has those, I'll reach them out. You know, there are a couple of guests on your show that I've heard, and it's like, hey, can I maybe get a bit more details of that? And you know, other stuff like that. And it's just a fascinating thing. I remember I like made like a little, like, when I would go to these conventions, I like printed out my own little coloring book of little cryptids and stuff like that, you know, for kids and stuff like that. So it's just, I'm always, you know, I'm always interested in this. It's always an inspiration for me and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I feel like definitely, like, if I ever wrote, or me and Joe ever wrote a book, we'd have you illustrate it for sure, dude.
Yeah, that would be cool. I love that picture that you did of me and Ben and the Impala.
Oh my God.
That was sick.
Dude, yeah. I remember I hit you up, Chris. I was like, did you freaking draw? Did you do this? And you were like, yeah.
That was good stuff.
It's so
dude.
good.
I love that shit.
Yeah,
that was great, man. That was great.
Well, when we decide to do a T-shirt out of that, we're gonna throw you some cash for sure, dude.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely,
dude. So I have a question about not the next one, but the one after that.
Oh, the troll person throwing the alligator.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was his name escapes me, but he's like a researcher who's doing he's like researching Catholic demonology.
Oh.
And he's going so far as to even going to the Vatican and doing all this deep research on demonology and stuff like that. And when he was a child, this was an account from like one of Shannon LaGrosse Into the Fray episodes. I forget which one it was, but it's very easy to find. He had, when he was a child, he had seen this creature in the corner of his room, and it was just there, and he was terrified. It was this scaly looking creature. It had scales, it had like the big ears, it looked very trollish. It had like the big lips, the knife, the serrated teeth, and it smiled at him.
Whoa.
And it waved at him. It just put up his hand and it waved at him.
Fuck that.
And it had only like the 2 or 3 fingers on, and it was just so horrifying, and it looked so fat and dumpy, and just the texture of the skin and stuff was like, you know, it wasn't like, you know, reptilian, but it looked like it looked, you know, bumpy and so textured and stuff like that. He did such a good job describing that stuff to her. And what had happened was that he had seen it, and then, you know, he got up and he was, you know, of course, terrified, and he had taken his stuffed alligator and he threw it at it, and it disappeared.
Whoa.
The creature disappeared, and the stuffed alligator just, I guess, hit the wall. It looks like it's trying to catch it, but it's like, it, you know, it's waving at him, you know, and he thinks that it was some sort of like, it was like trying to tempt him or something, or trying to, you know, it's like trying to, you know, just trying to get at him or something of that nature. And it was such a shaking experience.
He seems, just from your drawing, he seems like he would be kind of a nice guy.
I was gonna say, maybe he was just trying to be a nice guy.
He was just waving at him.
You know?
It looks like a Monsters Inc. kind of deal. Like he just walked in through the wrong door, and then the person woke up, and he's like, "Oh, hello."
Yeah. Like kind of like in damn it, Captain Marvel, where the green guys, like everybody's like, stay away from them, and then they end up like being like nice.
The scrolls.
Yes, the scrolls, and everybody's like, oh, they're bad, they're gonna kill everybody, and it turns out that they're nice, and it's like, oh yeah, we just sorry about that. We were being dicks to you. We apologize. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That's a cool image. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
That's super awesome.
So going over what does that say? My paranormal experience. It looks like there's like a light being or some kind of infrared person.
Yeah, that's sort of a rendition of what my mom saw.
Oh, cool.
The one in the middle is sort of like what I saw in the hallway that was haunting my experience, and the one on the third, that's sort of a lucid dream experience that I had. I don't I don't know if I want to get into that because that's kind of embarrassing.
It's all right.
Yeah, no, it's all good, dude.
Well, okay, I'll just throw that out just to wrap things up. So I was having this lucid dream, and I'm pretty sure it was a lucid dream where again, sleep paralysis was set in. I was having sleep paralysis in my dream, and I was dreaming that I was on my mattress, and my mattress was in the middle of a Civil War battlefield, and I could sense this presence on the side of me, and it was this woman, and she had her back to me, and I could see her brown hair.
She looked fine.
And I could see only so much from her back, and she had like this sort of like this like white dress on, and I could feel, I was trying to will myself into, getting control back to my body so I could get up, and my hand reached out, and I reached out to grab her, but what I grabbed was her ass cheek. And then my body willed itself back into this reality, and I was grabbing the corner of my mattress with a death grip. So the softness that I was feeling was the corner of my mattress.
I love that.
That should be a commercial for Casper mattresses.
Dude, yeah, something.
As soft as a booty. Casper mattresses, soft as a booty.
Soft as a booty. I love
so
that.
I was pretty much, groping a ghost,
Dude, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
I love that, dude. So yeah, man, and then you have this little kind of white wolf guy. I mean, it seems to be kind of your theme is like this wolf or fox or something, right?
Yeah, that's the show mascot. It's actually every single show has a like nearly every show has. Over time, they develop their own sort of show cryptid, like expanded perspectives. They talk about the Shimmerman a lot, so they get a lot of Shimmerman stories. Let's see, what is it? Strange Familiars. They talk about the lumberjack, the man in plaid. So they get Plaid Man stuff a lot, and I'm not waiting to get myself a show cryptid. So it's like I'll just make up my own.
Yeah.
So what I have is what that's supposed to be is it's a little white fox. That's sort of my mascot. In the logo, you see him. He's like curled up. He's got the microphone on, and he's like, and that's supposed to represent the trickster element, because in the Japanese lore they have the kitsune, which is the trickster. That is what they label as trickster element. And every single podcast, whenever they run into a brick wall, they say, "Oh, well, that's the trickster element," and that's what that represents.
Interesting.
Now, what that is particular as I call those things, I call them the Yif Kings, and they're supposed to be like foxes and stuff. That whenever you hear like screaming or terrible, noises in the woods, that's them. And what my goal is when I have a serious researcher on is to see if I can trip them up. And they're like talking, well, and then this happened, and then this, and then that's it, and then I'll just whisper, sounds like Yif Kings, and it's like, wait, what?
What the fuck does that mean?
Just to see if I can catch them off guard.
That's awesome, dude.
Because if I could get them to like take it seriously for like a second.
Oh my god!
And it's like, and that it's a funny thing. It's sort of a furry, it's a sort of a deviant furry thing, but it's just a fun little, it's a joke. It's a joke cryptid that I sort of made up for my show.
That's great.
I'm just looking at your podcast album artwork, and I do see the white wolf. Yeah.
The little fox, and he's curled up in a little ball, and that's like from this little image.
All right.
And yeah, it's a cute little thing. So
I like that.
And before that was sort of like always my little mascot. You know?
So I just have a question. Just popped into my head. This might be dumb, but if you were, so I watch. Do you ever watch the show Supernatural?
I've heard of it, but I really haven't watched it. But I am pretty familiar with a lot of the lore.
Okay, yeah. So they go into a lot of this demon, angel, trickster kind of stuff. They have episodes like specifically catered towards this trickster type of person that changes he alters your reality and things like that. Have you ever heard of specific stories involving the trickster, or does that pop up a lot, or is there one specific entity or story that you can point to that you know of or love?
As far as one that I can, say like, oh, that's definitive, I really can't. Whenever it's anything dealing with the Fae,
yeah,
they credit that a lot to that.
Okay.
They credit that a lot to the tricksters, or anything with like bodies of water, where there's like phenomenon happening during bodies of water, like the kelpies and stuff like that. That is, they're put into that camp as well. It's just a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whenever people, I think it was, I think it was when, let's see, what is it? The 411, a lot of people accredit that to the trickster element.
Right.
Because they get fucked with all the time.
Right. Yeah, I think the year...
Even Terry Lovelace, when he during one of his counts, he said he felt like they had like a veil of sedation put over them. Again, a lot of people would account that to like, oh, that's the trickster element trying to mess with them, trying to tempt them, kind of thing. So it's sort of like a catch-all umbrella term for like when something happens that's not supposed to happen, or that's just not in the realm of whatever. Like whenever like you follow Bigfoot tracks and they disappear into nothing. It's like, okay, that we just got had by the trickster.
That's awesome, dude. I wonder what our cryptid would be for our show.
Oh shit!
Well, you guys got so many. What about like Cinnamon Terry?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Cinnamon Terry.
Yes, I love that you.
Oh man,
that's awesome.
That's so great.
Cinnamon Terry,
yes. Oh.
He's Cinnamon Terry. If he's a trickster, he's here before every show and make sure that we always have something go wrong before the show. Like,
that's it, dude. That is 100%
every fucking time there's something that is
episode 54, and we still had something go wrong. Like you would think we'd have it down by now, but every single show it's something random.
Yeah.
It's so weird, dude.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So yeah, Cinnamon Terry.
Yeah.
We're blaming him from now on.
Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great, dude. Hell yeah.
Well, Chris, man, I gotta say, dude, this was awesome and fun, and we have to do this again. We should make this a more, we got to check in with you more often, dude. You're such a great speaker, and you've got amazing stories, man. And I know people are gonna want more from you. So, dude, we got to have you back on soon.
Yeah. There's a bunch of shit I didn't get into, so I definitely got enough to come back with. But there's just so much stuff out there, and I really do love you guys' show, and I love the support that you guys have shown me, giving me shout outs and stuff like that. That really means a lot to me, and I'm glad to throw you guys some support. I know that like when I was saying earlier with Ryan Sprague, I do support his show, and it's just funny, and I give him so much credit as I extend to you guys, as far as, that we can agree and disagree on shit, but we can still have a civil conversation. I mean, the social media and the Twitter algorithm, that's not real life. That doesn't dictate that whether or not we can or can't connect on any kind of level.
Right.
I mean, we all love this thing.
Yeah.
We're all stuck in it, and I just love you guys' show, and and I definitely want to throw you guys some support out there, and it's great that you guys return it as well. I mean, I just love the mutual support and the closeness of the community. And
absolutely.
It's really just awe-inspiring,
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's just my favorite part of the show is when you guys do the whole
yeah.
I gotta wait till the end of the episode to get that part. That's my favorite part.
Hey, you want to do it with us, and we'll cut you back when we end it? Okay, I'm gonna count down from 3, and let's start it. All right, 3, 2, 1.
This was another episode of UFO Garage. I love that, dude. Yeah, man. And when you get some free time, when things kind of calm down, we gotta link up in person, man, and hang out. Maybe we'll go to one of those horror cons out there in San Antonio or something cool like that, dude, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to just record live with you guys sometime.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude,
hell
that would be
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, but I definitely wanted to do that. I was more than willing to like drive the hour and a half up to meet up with you guys, because it's just, I mean, it's not that much of a drive to me because I'm going to Austin all the time. There's
Right.
always something going on down there, art related, that I'm going to. So it's definitely doable. We can definitely do a live recording.
Definitely.
I'd love to do
Let's
that.
set that
Yeah.
up. Let's set that up pretty
Absolutely.
soon. That would be really cool to do for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Yeah, you would be the second guest to be in the studio. So that'd be, I guess, Jim Goodall this weekend. But yeah, it'd be good. I think the vibe would be pretty cool to have you in the studio, man.
Absolutely, dude.
Awesome, man.
Absolutely. Well, hell yeah, man. The sentiment is getting thrown right back at you, man. We love the show. And yeah, it's all about supporting each other, man. I mean, we're all out here doing the same thing. We love it. It's a passion for all of us, and we have a good time doing it too, man. And that's really what counts in this whole thing. And,
Yeah. And thanks for supporting us and showing us off, man. I really appreciate that, dude. That's awesome. I'm glad we could be mutual on that.
for sure.
But yeah, man. All right. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show, bro. We'll be in touch soon, and I'll let you know when we got the video up. But the podcast will be up pretty soon, so you'll
right.
see it on the group.
Yeah, no problem. I'll send you a collection of links and stuff for show notes and stuff like that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and anything you want to add before we get off? Like, where can people find you if they're not interested, or if they're not familiar with you? If they're interested in hearing more about you, can you plug your podcast and where people can find you?
Yeah, sure thing. Just any kind of podcaster or podcaster, just go ahead and go to UFOgarage.com. That's you guys.
Yes.
Any kind of podcatcher or any kind, just go ahead, go into your search bar, search Conspire Theory. It's the one with the little fox in the logo. You can find me in any of the formats, and if you need to go to find me in the RSS feed or whatever, you can always go to Podomatic at conspiretheory.com. That's my host, and then you can find links there for listening and all that stuff like that. If you want to write into the show, write into conspiretheory@outlook.com. That's all one word. That's specifically for the show, and then I'll take a look at that, and you can communicate with me through there. You can find me on Facebook. I mean, I'm at Chris Holm. Chris Holm. You can find me there. I mean, I know that there's like a lot of names out there, but if you want to find me like specifically through the UFO Garage Facebook group, you can go in there, you can search the members and find me there, and then contact me through that. I know that most people aren't too active with Facebook and stuff like that, but if you have that, go ahead and use that. But I would much prefer to, that you go ahead, and if you need to reach out to me, just send me an email, and then we'll decide what social media outlet then that if people need to talk to me.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you again so much, brother. And man, this was awesome. Let's do it soon. Let's do it again soon. All right.
Hell yeah, man. All right, brother. We'll talk to you later, man.
Bye-bye.
All right. Peace. Hell yeah. Nice.
That was good stuff, man. That was good stuff.
Man, he's such a good guy.
Yeah, I know. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do the in person live recording with him. That's gonna be fun, dude. We gotta set that up.
That would be sick. I didn't even think about that. Why didn't we do it live? We should have.
I don't know.
Oh well.
Sometimes we're just so smart that
We're dumb.
we just don't think of stuff. That's what I think it is.
Yeah. Dude, man, like we got into so many interesting what's the word? Controversial topics tonight.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like I loved that. Like we got into. I didn't think that it was going to go into a political thing at the beginning, and then we did, and it was. I mean, dude, a lot of good points were made.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
It was good stuff, man. I was because when he was like, "Do we have like a format or like how should we follow this?" It was kind of like. We can have a format, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, you know? That's just the way it's always been. And, just the free flow conversation stuff. I mean, we seem to get into stuff that, like, we may not have otherwise gotten into had we had the format. But that's not to say, and also, like, it's cool too, because if the other person does have a format and we don't follow it, it just means we have material for like another show.
Yeah.
You know, it just keeps going and going and going, which
Yeah.
I love, man. So, and Chris is definitely going to be back on the show again. Just like
Absolutely.
all of our guests are going to be back on the show.
You know what we need to do? I mean, not taking anything away from this podcast, but we need to check in maybe tomorrow for Freeman Friday.
Friedman
And
Fridays.
see if Joanna will talk to us.
Yeah, that would be
I
pretty
know it's
cool.
like short notice, but that'd be kind of fun. Since we're going to do another podcast tomorrow, we're not going to release it until next week, though, right? Because
Right.
I'm
right.
gonna be on vacation tomorrow. Where did that come from?
Oh, that was just my computer wanting me to optimize my PC.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's because it's for smart people.
Yeah, it's for smart
Do you want to be smart? Buy a PC. You'll have to upgrade your system every fucking day. Update. I mean,
Well, if you're me, is it bad to just turn it off?
dude, I have no idea.
I've always heard that it's bad to just turn your computer off.
I don't know.
And you know,
There you go. I just unplugged your computer, so
Oh.
the sound won't come out.
and,
if it
and
blows up.
occasionally I'll just hit that.
I love that when you have to turn it off, you have to press the alien head.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
dope.
awesome. Yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, dude.
Well, hell yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much it for me, man.
Yeah, I think it's good. Tomorrow, well, that's not going to be released until next week, but we have a special guest. Jim Goodall is going to be in Austin, dude. We're going to be...
Coming into town, we're gonna be eating barbecue and talking about spooky airplanes, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Who knows what it's going to be about? Because that guy has a million stories. We're gonna get maybe a couple sentences in, and then we're just gonna listen to him talk because
Yeah.
he is the. I mean, not as a bad thing, but like he just got awesome stories.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
He's a great speaker. So
Hell yeah, man.
look out for that one, you guys.
That's great.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, well, shit. We
already did it.
Oh, we already did it? We're not going to do it again? Oh, we're going to cut back into it.
Yeah, we're gonna.
All right, well, we still need to say peace or something? No, we're good. All right, never mind.
Peace. Later.
Okay.
This was another episode of UFO Garage.